Hello, hello, my friends. I'm happy to be here for day 5. I love all of you. I thank you so much again for saying yes to this. I carry you in my consciousness and awareness as I go through my days, and I really think about all the wisdom that can come through for us. So thank you. I had a magical day yesterday. Obviously we're off and we're on a getaway, and there were a lot of things that were not expected or perfect about the day, but we really navigated. It was so much beauty. We had so much fun. We were out in nature, and it's so beautiful here. And it was just beautiful and almost magical. And it really anchored in this awareness of the duality that we've been talking about, as I've been embodying that and demonstrating it for you this week through some really tough times, and then some magic yesterday. So I am curious for you to ponder on how that's been for your week, and maybe it was just a regular week. However, it's still important to be aware of the duality so that we have some maturity around the understanding of it when it does come up in our life. So, hoping you're embodying that and contemplating it as we move through here. I wanted to do a bit of a disclaimer because as we're starting to move into feelings and emotions, it is quite important that if you don't feel safe feeling the feelings that are coming up, because you are navigating something that is quite traumatic, this conversation is not geared towards anything trauma related. I am not a trauma informed coach or facilitator. So I'm really inviting you to use discernment. If anything comes up that feels really uncomfortable, please reach out to me. If we're going through these processes and contemplations and you're really feeling some deep things come up that are making you feel unsafe, it could be important for you to find somebody that is trauma informed that can help facilitate that for you. So I wanted to call that out because this conversation is really geared around having those things healed and looking to step into the next level of evolution that's available to us from a safe and healed space. We always are going through trauma. So it's a matter of, again, using that discernment to determine whether or not it's too big for you to navigate on your own. If you cut your finger, that's technically trauma. So that word gets thrown around quite a bit. We all go through trauma, and some of it we can lead ourselves through. A lot of it we can lead ourselves through. There's really big things, though, that require some deep support with someone who is very informed and trained to navigate that. So please use discernment or reach out to me if you're not sure. We also talked yesterday about keeping ourselves, I talked about how sometimes we will keep ourselves small emotionally and energetically, protecting ourselves from the highs and the lows of the emotions out of fear and out of a lack of understanding of what's available to us. I talked about the medicine and the intelligence that is available to us through the feelings. But because we haven't learned how to feel, how to be with the emotions, how to allow the emotions to move through us, we sometimes will protect ourselves from the high feelings, the joy, the excitement, thinking, I don't want to get disappointed. If I celebrate this and then a shoe's going to drop, I'm going to feel disappointed. So let me just kind of bypass this and say, yeah, this was good, but what's coming around the corner next? Or we're too uncomfortable to feel the tough feelings, and so we swallow it, we numb ourselves, we ignore it. So I talked about that yesterday, and I also wanted to have a bit of a disclaimer around the concept of protecting ourselves energetically, because there are times and places where that is extremely critical and relevant and even required. And I would suggest that every day there should be periods of time where we're moving inwards, where we're almost like bringing all of our energy in. That's what we do when we meditate, or we take times for, walks alone, or all of that solo time that we have to rest, to rejuvenate, to replenish, to nurture ourselves is extremely critical. I wanted to call out that that's not what I'm talking about when I'm saying we're protecting ourselves energetically. When we are protecting ourselves energetically out of fear or again, of lack of understanding of how feelings and emotions are actually here to serve us, then we have an opportunity to grow and to learn and to evolve. However, there are really critical times when we do want to choose to cocoon ourselves for the rest, for the nurture, for the replenish. And that might be 15 minutes a day. And that might be for a year or two, depending on what you've been living and what you've gone through. So again, using self-discernment to know, when is it time for me to I really need to bring my energy into myself and protect myself so that I can rest and nurture and heal from something big that I've gone through. And when is it time to really face the emotions that are available to me, that are coming up within me, and being with them. Again, depending on where you're at and what you're going through, that might be beneficial to have somebody help you with that. And a lot of us can lead ourselves through that and have the discernment. A lot of you in this group, probably everyone, has that self-discernment. But again, always reach out to me if you're not sure, and I'm happy to check in and direct you either way. I want to double click here on the concept of levels of energy. There's a fantastic book. Well, there's a lot of different authors on this topic, very, very good authors on this. David Hawkins is a very well-known, has a well-known book, where he speaks about the levels of consciousness, and that's something that I would facilitate around, maybe 10 years ago. More recently, I'm interested in a book by Frederick Dodson called The Levels of Energy. You may not have an interest to study energetics, and you don't need to move through these 21 days and beyond. But if that is of interest to you, that's a really good book that I'd recommend. He really talks about how we can and do function from these different levels of energy, and he goes into depth of what that looks like from someone who is in really low energetics, is completely, a victim to life. I'm oversimplifying this, it's a whole book on it, but a victim to life, and is not able to self-lead themselves all the way up the chain to, a Gandhi, or and so I do recommend that book if that's of interest to you. But for this purpose, in this conversation, I'll invite you to imagine a time where maybe you're going through a really tough time. It could be something big in your life. Your job was no longer there. You lost a big contract that you were expecting to have. You went through a very difficult breakup, something that was tough. And likely when you walked through life while that was happening, everything in life, there was almost like a dark cloud over it. Everything was tough. So you would walk around, it seemed like everything was going wrong, or almost like there's a dark filter or a dark cloud. So you're walking into the coffee shop and everything nothing feels good. You're just almost consumed by this disappointment, this hurt. As you're walking around through life, or in the grocery store, just the basic things in life, things feel heavy, they feel darker, they feel less good to you. And then imagining a time which is the opposite, where maybe you fell in love with somebody. It's like the early days of falling in love. You won a big contract, or you just had a big success, a big milestone financially, or you overcame a health scare, or something like that, something big in your life where it was really, you found out you were pregnant, or you just had a child, or you had a really good, win with your child. Think about one thing and think about what life was like walking around in the world with that energy in your body, with that emotion in your body. Walking into the coffee shop and it feels like everyone's just happy and you feel happy to be there and you're greeting people, or you're walking out for, a walk in nature and you run into people and you say good morning and everything just feels really good. The difference between these two scenarios is your inner environment. So in one scenario, you're walking around with an energy and an emotion that is lower, and everything in your outer reality seems darker. In the other scenario, you're walking around with an energy or an emotion that is light, that is higher in the levels, and everything just seems to be almost like rosy. You feel happy, you feel good, everything's just so incredible. And life itself hasn't changed, but you are functioning from a different disposition. And what we're learning here in these 21 days is how to navigate that inner disposition, that inner environment, so that you can come back to those higher levels of energy more often and live life from that perspective. That's really the magic of life. So you can look at a tree and not just see a tree, but you actually look at a tree and, oh my goodness, you see the magic of it, the majesty of it. Or you see a body of water. Nature is a really good example because it's so simple. You see a moonrise or a sunrise, and it's like it takes your breath away. Whereas when you're walking through life with this dark cloud, yeah, it's the sun's up, the moon's up. It's not a big deal. There's this whole. It's like life is happening regardless. And there's these almost like these filters, like you'd have a filter on an Instagram picture, right? And so you're looking through life through either a dark cloud or through a really bright, magical, sparkly filter that really lights everything up for you. And we're not always going to live life from the higher energies, from the higher vantage points. That's not the goal either. You would like to get to a point where you're living your life predominantly from that space, but there are always going to be the ups and downs. And, a really good analogy that one of my mentors, Melanie Ann Lair, talks about often is it's like you look at an S&P 500 chart. and when you zoom in on any day or any week, there can be a lot of fluctuations. It's up and down. But if you were to zoom out, so you're looking at 1980 until 2025, you see that there's a direct line up. You're always going up, but it's up and down on the way up. And so we get to a place where we understand that in life there are going to be up and downs. We learn how to navigate, to have the to be able to regulate our nervous system in the downs so that we can navigate it from a very wise and centered and mature space. And then when we go into the ups, we know how to celebrate and anchor in the highs from a very regulated, mature space. So I like this analogy because it really depicts that life is the same. If you can contemplate this, and maybe if you weren't able to, as I walked you through it, consider it as you go through your day to really think about times in your life where life is the same. I'm just walking into a coffee shop, but either I have a dark cloud over me and everything seems really tough, or I've, just fallen in love or just won this big project or whatever it might be, and everything is light and bubbly and happy and fun. So I invite you to contemplate that through the day. And I am going to take you through a quick guided process. I also wanted to let you know that tomorrow we're going to do a breathwork session. So if you wanted to just save your time to listen to the audio for a time where you can lie down, that would be wonderful. It is not going to be too long, and it also won't be intense. So sometimes with breathwork, it can be intense. This will not be. But we might do a more intense one later on in the 21 days. We'll see. So inviting you to let all the oxygen out of your body. Inhale into your belly from your nose, your rib cage, your higher chest, and exhale. Inhale into your belly, rib cage, upper chest, and exhale. Inhale into your belly, rib cage, upper chest, and exhale. Inviting you to imagine that you were born, the day that you were born, and imagining that everything that you've ever achieved or desired through life, everything that you desire now, everything that you desire through the coming years of your life was given to you the day that you were born. Everything, every single thing that you've ever desired or that you will desire was given to you the day you were born. Inviting you to imagine you have it all, you have everything you'll ever want. What does that remove from life? What does that remove from your life experience, from your life journey? You will now never experience hope. You will never feel excitement. There will be no growth, no evolution. You'll never feel desire. There will be no mastery of anything. There will be nothing to celebrate. There will be no sense of satisfaction after you've worked hard to achieve something. There will be no bonding with others through hardship. There likely will be no opportunities for gratitude, for appreciation. There will be no experience of simple pleasures after difficulty. There will be no anticipation, no curiosity or wonder of what might come. There will be no creation. Taking a moment to just anchor all of that in, all of that would be wiped away from your human experience. And now the reverse. The day you were born as a human, you're not given everything you will desire in life. So you get to experience hope. As a fresh young human being, you'll have this long life where you'll have moments where you can experience that feeling of hope. You'll be able to experience excitement. You'll be able to experience growth and evolution and desire, the frequency of desire. You'll have moments of celebrating your mastery, having really gone deep on something that you've then mastered. You'll be able to celebrate your wins. You'll feel that sense of satisfaction after you've achieved something. You'll be able to bond with others through hardship, through hard work. You'll be able to experience gratitude for things that weren't and that now are. You'll be able to experience the simple pleasures after having gone through a difficulty. You'll experience anticipation through your life. You'll experience wonder. You'll experience curiosity. All of this will be available to you. And what if this is the beauty in life? What if this is the beauty of the human experience? It's not about having it all. It's about experiencing all of those emotional qualities, all of those emotions, all of those states of being. What if that's what it's all about? And from this vantage point, can we stop telling the story of there being something wrong when we don't currently have our desires, our intentions? And can we get excited and curious and wondrous about what's to come? I will leave you with that, sending so much love. I'm holding you energetically, consciously. Please reach out if there's anything. Have an incredible day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.